Go. Thanks, TikTok. Ruined the start of the show. Welcome to News Unboringed, the show where news is unboring. Ha ha ha, that's the entire tagline of the damn show. But I'm tired, and I can't really be bothered making it, so this one might be a bit more shut up, TikTok. A bit more boring than usual. Speaking of TikTok, no one likes TikTok anymore because it's Chinese, and no one trusts the Chinese in government. That's not racist, that's just true. No one in the West trusts the Chinese and government. They haven't for decades, but they've still let TikTok go and fly. But then they realised it's a bit weird that a Chinese company is making has made a company that is as addictive as a hard drug. And thought, we should, think about it a bit more. It's fair enough, but if it's banned, I will be very, very angry because I like TikTok. And of course, no one likes to talk about it, but we kind of have to. Immigration. Basically, they want to ban the boats. And even if they're trafficked, they will not be given any support. Gary Lineker compared to the 1930s Germany. Sure, it was a bit ill-conceived, but the general point he made was, to an extent, fairly correct. He just could have worded it a bit better. He could have maybe, made it seem less anti-Semitic. And either way, he said 30s Germany. They went really anti-Semitic in the bloody 40s. And it starts from shit like this. So, he is pretty much correct. But yeah, it's a bit ill-conceived. It could have been worded better. And there are definitely other comparisons that he could use that people don't talk about more. And that could have sparked more conversation and could have been a lot better for society. But it's been banned because sports journalists have to be impartial on political issues, unless it's about Qatar, apparently. So, yeah. It's just complete hypocrisy because, Qatar, the Qatar World Cup, the Qatar World Cup's existence was a political issue, let's be honest. And Gary Lineker, the stance of on the Qatar World Cup being approved just shows that they don't really care about impartiality at all. Especially given they also loaned hundreds of thousands, if not hundreds of millions. I can't remember what the exact figure was. It was 800,000 or 800 million. As I said, can't remember. Loaned out to the Conservative Party. They don't care about being impartial. They care about being dicks. And they care about endearing to the loudest audience, which on some issues are the right, and on some issues are the left. Sure, I do agree, the Qatar World Cup was a farce in so many ways, but don't approve that and then reject someone for having just another political view, because ultimately the Qatar World Cup, his stance on it, that was approved, was a political view. But the richest thing is that Suella Braverman, of all people, condemned him for undermining the Holocaust, despite the fact that she would not apologise to a Holocaust victim for being reminded of the horrible things she had to go through by her use of language. And yeah, she's genuinely evil, a piece of shit, and her parents are immigrants. So I think it's a bit disrespectful to her memory that she is being so tough on them. She's an absolutely racist bastard. But black people can't be racist. Mixed race people can't be racist. Look at her. She's an absolute racist, extremist cunt who belongs nowhere near politics. She belongs in prison. If anyone belongs in Rwanda, it's bloody her, you could argue. But, she's a piece of shit, but I'm not exactly going to breach her human rights, am I? Because I'm not a piece of shit. In other news, the budget's coming soon, and they're praying to God that it's boring and no one cares, and there's no, interesting, controversial standpoints, but there will be, because it's the Conservative government, and new things come out every single week, whether it's Isabel Oakeshott leaking out texts about teaching unions being called absolute arses and hating work because they, I don't know what it was all about. I've not done enough research, but It must have been for a valid reason, because teaching is fucking tough. I wouldn't want to be a teacher. I'd rather die. Although I'd rather die than a lot of things. I'd rather die than be in a war and probably die there. I'd rather die than watch my best friend get burnt at the stake. I'd rather die than watching my mother get burnt at the stake, my father, my other friends, my cousin, like the one cousin I actually talk to that doesn't live on the other sides of the world. Hopefully he won't come in on Dingu. Oi. But yeah, Gary Lineker's been banned. I suppose it was a breach of contract, but it's just hypocrisy to ban him for that, but not criticise the original thing. Especially on a personal account. On a personal account, which doesn't affect the BBC's reputation. Like, in the long run, in a month, everyone will have forgotten about this when he's probably back on the telly. And, yeah. It'll only resurface 10 years later for a month and then be forgotten about again. That's just the cycle of the modern world and the internet at the moment. The BBC's reputation will be completely unharmed by anything he says, pretty much whatsoever. Unless he said something like mega racist. That was just ill-conceived, and some would argue maybe slightly anti-Semitic, but, you know, it's hardly like the most terrible atrocity someone at the bullshit broadcasting can't have ever done. You know what I'm talking about, right? First name starts with J, second name starts with S. You know, you're getting it? Jimmy Savile, yeah? But yeah, BBC, pathetic, get rid of him. Even though we are getting a lot of the shit from this episode from BBC News, get rid of them. We'll just use, I don't know, who else are there? We'll just use Sky, who are probably just as, who are just as bad. They've ruined sports completely, and they've pretty much made everything a brand. Who else are there? GB News, a bit too right-wing for me. Talk TV, a bit too right-wing for me. I'll watch them, but, like, I don't think I want to rely on a channel that has Jacob Rees-Mogg in it. That's all I'm going to say. But, yeah. Those are... Oh. One last thing. We should all be able to apply our father figures, our actual fathers, parents, guardians, whatever. We should give them all a knighthood. Because Stanley Johnson's getting one for being a wife beater. And his sperm creating Boris Johnson. Yeah, probably not the most amazing thing that's happened to the UK in its long history that could be over in the next 10 years with the way things are going. And that's probably the best thing that could happen, let's be honest. We're sick of Scotland being annoying, so, you know, just let them be independent. They have every right to be, and all they're doing is causing more harm and division from still being in the Union. Northern Ireland, they've never done anything for us. Fuck Northern Ireland, go back to Ireland. I don't even get why we ever really kept Northern Ireland. Although they did nearly kill Margaret Thatcher. Which isn't a good thing, because murder's bad, but, you know, there is no buts. Murder is very bad. Although Maggie Thatcher was a piece of shit. In other news, what about... No one cares about Wales. Alright, in a bit. That's it. There is no other news.